When it comes to changing minds about mental illness and ending its stigma, few people are more motivated than actress Glenn Close. She's been talking to Tracy Smith.
You just have to be discreet.
Oh, God, yeah.
Are you?
Am I what?
Discreet.
Your role in Fatal Attraction is one of your most memorable roles.
Yes, and Alex Forrest is considered one of the great villains of all time, of the 20th century.
But I'm gonna tell you it's gonna stop right now.
No, it's not going to stop. It's going to go on and on until you face up to your responsibilities.
What responsibilities?
In that 1987 blockbuster, actress Glenn Close portrayed a woman
You
scorned.
won't answer my calls. You change your number. I mean, I'm not going to be ignored, Dan.
After an affair with a married man, played by Michael Douglas.
Looking back on that role now, what do you think?
I'm always amazed that when I was researching that role, that no one brought up the idea that she might have a mental disorder.
No one said
or
that
that
to
she
you.
might have a behavior triggered by something in her past. I think if I was offered that script today, I would certainly look at it from a totally different point of view.
That's because today, Glenn Close knows something she didn't back then, that mental illness runs in her own family. Her nephew, Calen, has schizophrenia, and Glenn's sister, Jessie, has bipolar disorder.
How long did you struggle with mental illness before you were diagnosed?
My whole life, till I was diagnosed at 50.
Why do you think it took that long?
It wasn't taken seriously, and I lived a very fast and wild life, so nobody suspected anything.
They just attributed it to
Me, that's how I was. I'd stay up for 2 nights, and then I would think I need at least a few hours sleep on the 3rd night, which of course kicks in depression. And depression for me was beyond blackness. It was wanting to die. I had this voice in my head that would just not leave me alone.
saying,
Kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself, over and over and over.
In 2003, a frightened Jessie confided her suicidal thoughts to her sister, and they got help.
how close do you think you were to losing her?
Very close. I never knew how close. Many people who live with bipolar disorder have deaths by suicide.
The sisters say Jessie's treatment was successful because Jessie wanted help, but they also say far too many people are still suffering in silence.
Then when I became an advocate, I realized that it is a family affair for 1 in 4 of us.
1 in 4.
Yes, is touched in some way by mental illness. So it became obvious to me that we have to talk about it.
Change your mind about mental illness, and you can change a life.
That thinking led Glenn and Jessie to start a foundation in 2010. Bring Change to Mind creates multimedia campaigns and holds events to get people to talk about mental health.
Luckily, I've had the support of family and friends to help me live a full life.
It's time to talk about mental illness. Start the conversation.
To let those that might feel marginalized or silenced by stigma to become part of a group and accepted will save lives. Period.
A very, very warm welcome for Glenn Close.
Bring Change to Mind also focuses on college and high school students, the age group with the highest prevalence of mental illness, and the subject of recent headlines.
It seems like we usually hear about mental illness when it's connected with violence, the school shooting in Florida.
Yeah.
Does that present an accurate picture?
No. The biggest majority of people living with mental illness are more preyed upon than preying upon. But it does seem to be that somebody who does one of these terrible acts is suffering from some sort of mental disorder.
The answer, she says, is more reliable funding for mental health care and maybe a little more care for each other.
A lot of times, a lot of isolation goes on, which is dangerous. You know, be aware of how connected We truly are. And if one connection is broken, there can be terrible repercussions. So we can't afford to ignore and to think it's somebody else's problem anymore.
Glenn Close and her sister Jessie say they'll keep working until mental illness is seen as just what it is, another part of being human.
I never got bunches of roses when I got home from the hospital. If I had had a heart operation, I'm sure all my friends would have been there with food and flowers. And people behaving strangely or badly is not considered an illness.
But it is.
It is. Yeah, it is. It's just an illness, for goodness sakes.